The Walking Dead is probably the most celebrated and popular post-apocalyptic horror drama series on American television. The gritty story of survivors in a zombie apocalypse and their struggle to coexist with various groups of people and threats made the TV series a massive hit. Since then, there's been a number of spin-offs, and one recently released spin-off series is getting a lot of appreciation from the fans. The narrative behind The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live, reintroduces one of the Walking Dead veterans, Rick Grimes, as he deals with the complexities of his new life. In this video, we look to clear the air around some of the major questions that have cropped up after watching the first 3 episodes of the series. Before we get into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. A little context to refresh your memories. We want to make sure that even if you're not a hardened fan of the Walking Dead franchise, you'll still be able to consume the new series and this video without any confusion. For that, let us quickly take you through a brief recap of the major characters and their relationships with one another. Rick Grimes has been the long-standing protagonist in the Walking Dead series, and in Season 9, he seemingly sacrificed himself in order to protect a camp overrun by the walkers. He blew up a bridge, and he's assumed dead in the explosion by his friends and his lover Michonne. However, he managed to survive and was taken away by Jadis, who convinced her allies, the CRM, or the Civic Republic military based in Philadelphia, to treat an injured Rick. Michonne took over as the leader after Rick went missing, but the series ended with enough hints for Michonne to figure out that Rick is still alive out there somewhere. The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live, is premised 5 years after the events of Rick being apparently killed in the bridge explosion. He has since become a consignee at the CRM, and the occupants in this secret city aren't allowed to leave. They also have to earn their citizenship, and Rick has already unsuccessfully attempted to escape 4 times. He's forced to join the military, although a little convincing from the altruistic Colonel Okafor does change his mind slightly. However, his priorities are shaken up once again when Michonne reappears on the scene all of a sudden. How has the dynamic between Michonne and Rick changed? What will be the fate of their relationship? Those familiar with the Walking Dead series will remember how Rick and Michonne developed a unique relationship from their chance encounter. Rick was grieving the death of his wife, and his love for Michonne bloomed with time as they dealt with several tricky situations back in the day. At the end of the series, she realizes that Rick is still alive and out there somewhere, and she departs from the communities in order to look for him. Here, in The Ones Who Live, Rick is shown slowly adapting to his new life with the CRM, but it all changes when he encounters Michonne yet again during one of his missions. She kills a few soldiers of the CRM in the mission, and even Colonel Okafor is dead. In order to safeguard her, Rick asks her to assume a different identity and a convincing cover story by the time more CRM troops arrive. She also becomes a consignee like Rick, and initially, Rick promises that he'll find a way for them both to escape soon. He also convinces his fellow soldier, Thorne, to vouch for Michonne, and this helps Michonne stabilize her position within the CRM confines. However, things start to change when Jadis, the enigmatic leader of the scavengers, arrives on the scene. In episode 3, titled Bye, Michonne slowly starts doubting her husband and wonders if he's the same person who fought alongside her back in the day. She worries that the CRM has brainwashed him beyond repair, and Rick's strange behavior doesn't help her concerns. Meanwhile, Rick now tries to convince Michonne that she doesn't belong there, and to add to their problems, Jadis reminds them that she would keep looking for them if they escaped, and she would also hand over a file with everything about them to the CRM in such a situation. Michonne tries to blend in as Dana, which is her fake identity, and Pearl warns Rick about the Admiral Beale keeping an eye on Michonne. However, even with the odds against him, Rick plans a daring escape plan for Michonne by faking her death. He's convinced that he has to stay behind, but Michonne is devastated and doesn't want to go alone. She's miffed with Rick for such plans and even comes out of her meek self, showing her warrior side and killing zombies, much to the irritation of Pearl. The narrative does drop a hint that her doubts on her partner Rick are resolved after a point, but Rick is determined to get her out of there. Towards the end of the episode, he breaks up with her formally, and after furiously reminding her that he would ensure that she escaped no matter what. But the climactic moments of the episode have a shocking twist, and while traveling in a helicopter over a water body in the middle of a storm, Michonne jumps out along with Rick. How will they deal with the consequences of this daring escape attempt? How will Rick react to the bizarre and bold actions taken by Michonne? And how will Pearl handle the situation from the CRM quarters? We're gonna have to wait for the next episode to drop in order to get those answers. Who is Pearl Thorne? and is she in love with Rick? Beyond the struggle for survival and complex politics among the Civic Republic military, there seems to be a steady romance quotient in the narrative as well. Aside from the affection and tension between Rick and Michonne, the series also brings in another intriguing character, Rick's fellow soldier, Pearl Thorne. She wasn't featured in the original Walking Dead series, but she plays a key role in this spin-off. She joined the CRM just as Rick, and initially they both had rejected the organization and even attempted to kill Colonel Okafor. However, with time, their views on this military group changed. Pearl continued to grow more ambitious, and especially after she was promoted, the seriousness for her duties grew further. But Rick still continued to trust her, and they have a friendship that can be observed through some of their interactions. So, does she have any romantic inclinations towards Rick? Some of her actions in the third episode are bound to make you suspect the obvious. For starters, she attempts to shoot Michonne in one of the scenes. One could argue that Pearl doesn't know the real identity of Michonne as Rick's wife, but from the way they behave, it's quite obvious she has a special role in his life. Clearly, someone as smart as Pearl wouldn't miss out on that observation. There's a hint of jealousy in some of her actions and dialogue, and of course, there's the good old watch how she looks at Rick in some scenes. We believe there are some unresolved feelings between Pearl and Rick, and these are influencing her actions as well, and there's a good chance that something is brewing from her end. Of course, nothing's been confirmed in the show, but the complex relationship between Rick and Pearl will surely be a subject that we'll get further information on in the next episode. Why did Thorne attempt to kill Michonne? One of the most grueling subjects in episode 3 is the way Rick tries to plan an escape for his wife Michonne while trying to balance his position with the CRM. His relationship with his colleague Pearl Thorne also gets tricky because of Thorne's negativity towards Michonne. After being promoted, Thorne is determined to fulfill Okafor's vision of reforming the CRM from within, and one particular scene makes it clear that nothing stands between her and her duties. She almost shoots Michonne after being interrupted by Rick, and this is largely because Michonne got in the way of her mission. Pearl Thorne is a focused soldier, and when Michonne doesn't comply with her orders, she doesn't hesitate to take her out. She didn't trust Michonne blindly from the very beginning, and during her briefing, Thorne had her knife ready just in case something went wrong. After Michonne shows enthusiasm for her missions and displays her combat capabilities, Thorne might have also perceived her as a threat to her ambitions. The romantic angle can't be ruled out either, and it could have been an added factor behind a jealousy-fueled attempt to take out the lady who's clearly important to Rick. Whatever the reason, it's clear that Pearl Thorne will continue to be a threat for the couple, and she wouldn't let her personal relationship with Rick jeopardize her missions or the greater cause of the CRM. The mystery of the phone image, explored. What good is a spin-off if it doesn't decode some of the confusing moments of the original series? Back in The Walking Dead Season 10, one of the key clues that Michonne came across regarding Rick Grimes being alive was a phone with a drawing of her and Rick's daughter Judith on it. The drawing was also supplemented by some Japanese writing, and it became a major hint that Rick was still alive somewhere. However, not much else was explained about this phone in the sketches on it until we finally got some answers in The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live. In the third episode, Michonne comes across the artist who drew her and Judith's picture on iPhone canvases for Rick. She finds him while roaming around the market in Philly, and the artist recognizes her from his own drawings earlier. This is an important encounter that restores her faith in Rick and his love for her. The Japanese writing translates to believe a little bit longer, and the entire effort by Rick highlights how important his family and loved ones are to him. The artist further reveals that Rick would frequently visit his store and get fresh drawings of his loved ones, and it proves to be a heartwarming moment, suggesting how Rick hoped to see Michonne and Judith all the while. The artist also tells Michonne that Rick had asked him to draw a boy as well, which she realizes must be his son Carl. But the sketches of Carl weren't perfect, and hence they didn't make it to the phone. This crucial scene is carefully injected in the show at a time when Michonne is starting to doubt Rick's feelings for her and wonders how much he has changed in her long absence. It also shows how he never gave up hope and used the motivating quote to keep his spirits high throughout the process. Do let us know in the comments down below about your thoughts on this new Walking Dead series, and share your opinions on the complex situation that surrounds Rick, Michonne, and Thorne at the end of the third episode. We're eagerly awaiting the next episode, so subscribe if you want to hear more on such interesting topics as the story develops further. If you like our content, don't forget to comment and like and subscribe if you haven't already, because this helps us make more Walking Dead content for you in the future. Thanks for watching, stay safe out there, and have a marvelous day.